to my channel, and if you're new here, welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a video all about the do's and don'ts of bonding guinea pigs. So if you guys haven't seen, I bonded my 5 guinea pigs together in last week's or 2 weeks ago, whenever it was, the last video. So I bonded 3 adult guinea pigs. They were 3.5 and 4.5, and they're all sows, along with 2 baby guinea pigs, and these were both sows as well, who were about 7 weeks old, 6-7 weeks old. So the first thing I did was I set up a large playpen. It wasn't as big as their cage, just because I didn't have enough room in this room to be able to do that, because their cage is so big already, but it was a decent size. What you don't want to do though, however, is set up a size that's too big. So you don't want to set up something that's either bigger than the cages or something where you can't keep an eye on them all. You need to make sure they can all stay together as well, because if you do it too big, they'll just go on separate sides of the bonding pen, and then they just won't interact and they won't bond. So you need to make sure it's big enough for them all to be able to run around and get away from each other, but also not too big where they can literally just go on opposite sides and not be anywhere near each other. I would tell you the size I used for mine, but I don't actually know what it was. The next thing you want to make sure is the bottom of your pen is fleeced or covered in some sort of liners or substrate or whatever you use that is absorbent, so it's not ruining your floor. And I used fleece just because it's what I use personally, and I think it's the best thing you can use. And then you also want to put a pile of hay in the middle of the playpen. Now what I did was I spread it out a little bit so that you couldn't really burrow that well, because you don't want them to burrow under it and not be visible, and other pigs come along and not realise they're there, and then they might get scared and that'll freak them out and panic them and things. So you want to make sure they can't really burrow too much in it, so spread it out a little bit if you can. So then what I did was I put all 5 of the girls in. I put in my 3 older pigs first and then my 2 younger ones, just because that was easiest. I think a lot of people, if you can put them all in simultaneously, that is definitely the best way to go, but they weren't in for very long for me, so it wasn't too much of an issue. Now something that I did that I would never ever do again, that I've learned was probably the worst decision I could have made whilst bonding these pigs, was I ended up picking all my older girls up out of the cage by hand, catching them and everything, and then putting them straight into the playpen. Now Fleur doesn't mind being picked up that much. She isn't as fast, she calmed down very quickly. Ginny, it isn't her favourite thing in the world, but she kind of got over it. But Bellatrix hates being picked up with a passion. She doesn't like being held even after you've got her, but she hates being grabbed out of the cage so much. And I did that, and then I put her into this bonding pen, and then the situation was stressful because she was meeting 2 new pigs as well on top of that, but she was already stressed because I picked her out of the cage. That was the worst mistake I have ever made bonding a guinea pig before. If you do have a pig that is kind of scared of being picked up and things, definitely use a carrier or use a hide or something that they feel a bit more comfortable in to get them out, if possible. And then even maybe put them in the playpen for a bit. If you put them in the carrier, then put them in the playpen for a bit, but don't open the door, just leave them be to calm a little bit, then just open the door, and they can get out, things like that. I think that is definitely a better way to go about it than what I did. I will never ever again pick up a pig and put them into the bonding playpen that doesn't like being picked up straight away, because it did not end well. My bonding started really well. I'm not going to go into the details in particular of the bonding in terms of what happened and everything in this video. It's more of the do's and don'ts and kind of more educational for going forward for you guys if you want to bond your guinea pigs, but I'm just using my latest bonding for reference. But it did go really well to begin with, and then we started having issues. Bellatrix just wouldn't stop chasing the girls, the youngers, and it was not going well. So something that I would suggest, maybe if you have a pig that's just not backing down, nothing extreme, just severe chasing, or things that aren't awful. Like, there's no blood being drawn, there's no biting or anything like that. It's just like she would not stop chasing them. So what I ended up doing was I ended up just catching her because I just wanted her out of that situation. She was stressed, she was not happy, and she was just stressing everyone out because she was running, like, chasing the little pigs. The little pigs were running into the older ones, and then they were turning on each other, and it was not good whatsoever. So she got removed from the situation. So one thing I do suggest, if you've got a pig that's just not, like, if you've got a pig that's just stressing everyone out, put them in a carrier and put the carrier in the pen. Now what I did was I put a little bit of hay in there, a little bit of food for her, and she just stayed in that carrier in the pen with the babies walking past, with the other ones walking past, with them like around her, so she could smell them, so she could hear them, so she could see them, but she couldn't get to them. She was in her safe zone in a carrier she'd been in loads and loads of times before, and she felt safe. She had food. She literally went asleep like for an hour or so, and it was a couple of hours she stayed in there. I think she stayed in there for about 2 hours in the end. Honestly, time that day just like went. I don't even know what happened that day. Like, it was such a long, it was just such a long day. But she just calmed right down after that. So then when I later on took her out of that carrier, I just opened the door, let her walk out, and then remove the carrier from the things so they couldn't like go in and all get stuck in there. She calmed down a lot. There was a couple of instances where she was chasing them still, but she had calmed down an awful lot. And then they were in there for probably about another 2 hours. They were eating. There was still some chasing going on, but it wasn't too bad. So definitely the carrier trick is definitely a way to go. On top of that, when I put them back into here, I think I caught the babies like in my hands just because I left them till last, really. But I put all the big ones in the carriers and then moved them from the carriers into here, so again they couldn't be stressed out by like being picked up and grabbed and all the rest. They get on so great now. Like, honestly, they get on great, lovely. Like, they'll lie next to each other, they'll just like drink from the same water bottle even. Like, they are all fine and lovely. So honestly, you guys, I think the carrier trick definitely helped. Another thing I did with this bonding that a lot of people don't do was I put in hides quite early on. Now, this wasn't because they were getting along great, like, you know, they did for like the first like 15-20 minutes, but I put them in. It was after that. It wasn't because they were getting on great. So what was happening was my pigs were really quite anxious. There was especially when Bellatrix started like chasing a lot of them around, they got quite anxious. So what I did was I put some hides in that provided some like safety spaces and somewhere they could hide, but like they had like, it was mostly tunnels, so they had multiple entrances. I just allowed them to have somewhere they could hide, but like they could still interact properly, and I did put that quite early in. But I think it did work out for the best because they felt a bit safer, and like the little girls were like at one point literally escaping through the bars. I thought they were small enough, like the holes, but they just weren't. But we didn't have anything smaller, so they were like escaping through the bars because they wanted someone to hide, and I had to literally like barricade it all up just so they weren't getting out. But that definitely stopped once I kind of put like hides in so they could go hide in them instead. So I did that earlier than most people suggest, and I don't think it works for every bonding, but you just have to read the bonding well. And like for mine, it was just the right way to go because they were a bit anxious, they were a bit scared, especially when you've got such young pigs bonding with like adults. Like sometimes the younger pigs are just really nervous, so you do just have to, it's better to provide that support so they aren't like scaredly like running into the older pigs, and the older pigs are like, what on earth are you doing? Especially mine, because they kind of like their own personal space, and to have these little fluffy things running into them, it was just like, whoa, hang on a minute, what's going on? Another thing that I would say to do is, if you are not confident in bonding pigs, if you haven't done it before, if you have done it before but it just hasn't gone well and you just don't feel comfortable, see if you can reach out to a rescue or like some sort of service. See if they will help bond your pigs for you. Now, I know some rescues and things provide this service, some don't, some do, but only if you're adopting a pig from their rescue. But definitely have a little research and have a look to see if there is like any services out there for you to go to. If there's anyone you can ask for advice, definitely do. Another thing I would say, probably the last thing I would say, is do your research. Just watch as many videos as you can of literally real life bonding going on that people have done. For example, my bonding video, for example this video. I watched so many videos before I did this bonding, even though I've bonded pigs so many times before, just because I've not bonded this many pigs together before, and each bonding comes with its own, you know, circumstances, its own thing. This was probably definitely one of my hardest bondings because I didn't do side-by-side living, and I definitely think that is the way to go. So like cornering off like part of your cage and putting the new pigs like in there so they're living like bar buddies for a while, definitely think is the way to go. I just didn't do that this time because it was only like a week and I didn't know how to really split this cage in a way that I could like get to everyone properly, so I didn't do it. But part of me does think I should have just done it. I should have just bit the bullet for a week and just done it. Even if it would have been a bit difficult to like clean them and stuff, I should have just done it because it would have made the bonding easier. But yeah, definitely do as much research as possible. Read articles, read like blogs, guides, things like that. Watch videos. I definitely think watching videos of people with actual guinea pigs doing the bondings real time is definitely the way to go. And watch as many as possible. Don't think you watch one and your bonding is going to be like that. It's never going to be the exact same. Each guinea pig has a different personality. Each bonding has a different, you know, circumstance. Sometimes you think like pigs as well that are going to be like the ones that are an issue in a bonding aren't. Sometimes the pigs you think aren't going to be an issue are an issue. It's like you can't predict anything really. In this circumstance with my bonding, I did think Bellatrix could be an issue and she was the issue, but I thought Ginny would be more dominant than she was because she kind of is the more dominant pig in the cage now. But she wasn't. She was absolutely fine. And when I bonded Luna and Ginny with Flo and Bellatrix like 3 years ago, I thought Luna would be the issue and she didn't care because she was the sweetest pig ever. But I thought she'd be the issue because she was the most dominant pig, but Ginny was actually the issue. But just do as much research as possible. Every bonding is difficult, every circumstance is difficult, and if you can get someone to like sit with you for all that time, honestly that is amazing. Because I sat here on my own for hours and I was going a bit nuts by the end of it. I think I literally was just like, oh my god, how much longer is this going to be? I tried to entertain myself with literally any like videos going. I was getting so bored, but also at the same time I was stressed because these pigs were not bonding at one point and I was like, oh my god, I'm stressed. But if you can get someone, especially someone that kind of knows like bondings and knows how like animals kind of behave and stuff, if you can get someone that's knowledgeable as well, even better. Honestly, if you've got a friend that's done it and you haven't bonded before, just like talk to them, be like, what did you do? Is there any chance you can come do it with me? Just ask for advice. Honestly, if you ask for advice, ask for help, it is going to help you so much more than if you just pretend you know what you're doing and just go ahead with it and do it all wrong. Honestly, just research and ask for help where you can. Just like comment on a video and be like, oh, I'm doing this bonding, like have you got any tips, advice, blah 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 blah. Like honestly, I respond to 98% of my comments, and I know a lot of YouTubers try and get around and like respond to a lot of those kind of comments. So if you could literally just want some advice and help, just comment, just message people, just talk to people you know, and just like do your research and it'll all be fine. Not every pigs are gonna bond. Some just do not get on. Boar bondings I've never done. Actually, I had 2 boars like way back, but their bond broken. Like that was it. Their bond broke and they were separate for the rest of their lives. But boar bondings just a whole different thing. But bondings like each and every time are gonna be different, and like I bonded a herd this time and that was different for me. But yeah, just do your research and don't be afraid to ask people for advice or help. By doing that, you are giving your pigs the best chance possible at bonding. And if you do have any further questions, definitely comment them down below. But I will see you guys next time for another video that's on something different than bonding. I'm hoping to do some more educational videos for you guys though, so I hope you enjoy that. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye!